My name is Durre Nayab and the topic of my presentation is acid-base titration. I will discuss the topics: neutralization reaction, acid-base titration, titration of strong acid and strong base, titration of weak acid and strong base, and then titration of weak base and strong acid. First of all, I will discuss about neutralization reaction. What is neutralization reaction? Neutralization reaction is a reaction in which an acid and a base in an aqueous solution. We use aqueous solution to react to produce a salt and water. In this reaction, the reactants will be the acid and base, and the products will be the salt and water. Then what is salt? Salt is basically an ionic compound which is made up of ions, and ions are cations and anions. Cations comes from the base and anions are from the acid. Neutralization is a double replacement reaction. It means that two ionic compounds exchange their ions and form two new ionic compounds which are salt and water. Then I will discuss acid-base titration. What is titration? Titration is a method for determining the concentration of a solution by reacting a known volume of that solution with a solution of known concentration. It means that we find the unknown concentration of solution through the solution whose concentration is known. Then what will be its procedure? Its procedure a measured volume of an acid or a base of unknown concentration is placed in a beaker or flask, and the initial pH is recorded, and the standard solution is filled in a burette. What does standard solution mean? It means that the solution whose concentration is known, and it is filled in a burette, and 2 drops of acid base indicator are added to the flask, and then the standard solution is slowly added to the unknown solution in the flask, and when these two solutions are mixed, then the acid and the base are neutralized. And then I will discuss few definitions and standard solution or titrant. About standard solution, I already told about this. Standard solution is also known as titrant, and it is an acid-base solution whose concentration is known. And then what is endpoint? Endpoint is basically the point at which an indicator changes color. When we add the indicator to the flask, then the color changes, and the point is called endpoint. And what is equivalence point? Equivalence point is basically the point at which the moles of hydrogen ions from the acid are equal to the moles of hydroxide ions from the base, and there is an abrupt change in pH occurs at the equivalence point. And then titration of a strong acid and strong base. Since the salt produces neutral and the solution at the equivalence point has the pH of 7, as we know about the neutral solutions have pH 7, and the acidic solutions have pH less than 7, and the basic solutions have pH greater than 7. So the in the titration of strong acid and strong base, the salt produces neutral. The solution at the equivalence point has a pH of 7, and the pH starts off low. As you can see in the graph, the pH starts at the low and increases as we add more sodium hydroxide solution in it. And again, the pH does not change very much until we get close to the equivalence point, and it will increase upwards very steeply or in the steep manner. As you can see in the graph, the equivalence point is at pH 7. Then the titration of weak acid and strong base. It is basically the salt is basic, so equivalence point comes at the pH greater than 7. As you can see in the graph, the equivalence point is greater than 7, and the start of the graph shows a relatively rapid rise in pH, but this slows down. It is gradually slows down. Then titration of weak base and strong acid. In this, the salt formed is acidic, so the pH will be less than 7. Equivalence point comes at the pH less than 7. And at the beginning, you can see in the graph, at the beginning of the curve, the pH starts by falling quite quickly, and as the acid is added, but the curve very soon gets less steep. Then then the curve will be the less steep, as you can see. And the rapid fall of the pH to start with, but the rate of fall slows down, gradually slows down, and the equivalence point you can see that at the pH less than 7. As my presentation topic has ended, and thank you for your attention.